Hey, everybody. Welcome to ClearPath LeaderCast at our new time, noon on Thursday. My name is Craig Anderson. I'm the president of ClearPath Coaching and Consulting. Every week, I come on here into the LeaderCast to talk about a topic of importance to business owners, small business owners, mid-sized business owners. But today, we're really going to be focusing in on small business owners that are scaling up. My background really was in corporate America, but I had a lot of opportunity towards the end of my time starting a small business. And what I found was I was kind of this guy with an English degree. Somehow I ended up in banking. Somehow I ended up in a national leadership role and did that for a couple of different large Fortune 500 financial services companies. And during that time, paid a lot of attention because I didn't have necessarily the academic background for the role to what made those companies successful. And it was really about the planning and the processes and the people that they hired and built that made those companies successful for the long haul. And I had an opportunity to spin a new business out of a larger company and test how to take those things that made those big companies successful and the scale for small business. And we were able to successfully build that out. And today we're going to talk about one of the key components of making your business successful, which is building the right leadership team around you. What we really see a lot with small business owners is they're successful. They have an idea. They're not necessarily people with a business background, but they're people who have a great idea for a new product or a new service that people want. Or maybe they're in a professional services area like accounting, or they're an architect or a marketing and design firm. Any of those areas where they're really good at it and their business starts to grow because of their skill. And nothing in their background necessarily taught them how to lead a company. They just had a really great idea and they were executing on it well. So what happens is they start to help with some of the workload and surround themselves with some helpers, and they kind of get around the table, and those people help them to build the business over time. And they're still individually directing people on what they need to do. This is how we do things. This is what's important. This is not what's important. Here's where I need you to focus. This is what I need done today. And we do those things, and that works really well for a while. And then we get to the point where we have 10 employees and it's a struggle, 15 employees, maybe million, 2 million in revenue. And now it's getting to be a struggle because instead of having the time to tell all those people what to do, you have too many people to tell what to do. And because you've told them what to do, you haven't taught them how to start making decisions on their own. And as soon as it starts to get bigger than you can handle, and that great growth pattern that you've been on starts to drop off. So what do? You've got to find a way to get things done through other people. And you can't manage 10 or 15 people. I've seen people do it even at corporate America. And what happens is you do it really poorly. So you have to start surrounding yourself, instead of with helpers, with leaders, and start getting some leaders on the team around you so that you can actually tell them what to do and they can get other people doing it. But even better, you can teach them what's important to you, how to make decisions the way you want your culture and you want your company run. And you can educate them in that so they can continue to pass on to their people the way the business should run according to you. So that's really what we want to start doing. And we don't necessarily build a leadership of team of 5 people right out of the gate. That just doesn't make sense. Early on, it may be I just need to hire one person to do it. So you have to really start before you get going to define the needs that you have before you start hiring people. So what do I need? Maybe if I look at myself as the person who's the business owner who founded the business, I'm really good at the sales and marketing aspects of the job, but the financial numbers, the number side of the business is just a struggle for me. So that may be a sign that the first person of your leadership team should have that skill set to kind of compensate for where you may not have the strengths. Or it could just be an area which you could do, but it's not of interest to you. It doesn't really get you excited. And you're doing it, but you're probably not doing it as effectively as you could because it's not where your passion is for the business. So getting someone in your first and second hire that complement your weaknesses, that is an important piece to think about when you're starting to hire people. It could also be the area where you have most people who need to be managed. Maybe you have 15 people on the team and there's 6 people doing a common function, maybe an operational delivery, and you may need somebody to run that piece. So be very intentional about it. You don't just make your first hire a CFO, or just don't make your first hire a salesperson, sales leader, or a marketing leader. Really think through where is my zone of genius? Where am I operating at my highest level in the business and making my maximum contribution? That's the area that you want to hang on to and continue to excel at. What you then want to do is get people who, again, compensate for your weaknesses, compensate for the areas where you don't have interest, or your areas of greatest need so you can continue to move the business forward. Because here's another thing that you'll start to find as your business grows is as much as you are continuing to work in your zone of genius, you are no longer thinking about what has to be done in the business that day or that week or that month. You're going to find yourself having to spend more and more time thinking about the future and what it is you're going to need to be preparing the business for 12 months down the road or 18 months down the road. So you need to free up that time through getting the leaders around you to do that. So that's kind of the first piece when you're hiring a leadership team is getting those people, one, know yourself, know your strengths and weaknesses, and then get those compensating strengths and weaknesses on the team. So that's the first piece that I want you to consider as you start building out your team and your leadership team. Part two is to be really intentional about your leadership process or about your hiring process. Really think about that job description. I really encourage people to follow what I call a one-page job description where we talk about where we want that position to have taken the business in the next 3 years. Why does that position exist? What are the key metrics in the first year you're going to measure that are going to define success? How do you want that job executed? And what are the things they're going to need to build to prepare you for that business? So think about all those things to really think about, all right, this is what I want out of the job. This is how I want it done. These are the things that I want. So you have a really crystal clear vision, not only for yourself, but also for the people that you're going to be telling about the position so they can understand it. And really, you're probably going to end up working your referral network to find people too. So you want to be able to clearly explain it to them. So getting that job description narrowed down to one page is really going to help you get focused on what it is that you need. Behind that, you want to think about kind of the skill sets that are needed. What are they going to need to be good at? Where does their energy need to lie for the position? Give yourself a lot of thought along those areas. One of the things I like to do is work with my clients using the Core Values Index. It's an assessment tool. I usually use it just on the finalists for the role. And it's not the only indicator of hiring or firing, but or hiring or not hiring, but it's a crucial indicator because it's going to show you that you can assess their skills, talents, and abilities by their background and what they can tell you as you ask those specific questions. But you also want to make sure that they're energetically aligned with the position so that with the things they're going to have to spend a lot of time in, give them energy and strengthen them so they can persist and be successful in the role. So we really want to be intentional about the description of the job, what we want out of the job, very clear on one page what that job looks like so that we can share that with our referral network and then pull in different assessments that help us really judge behind the person, because not everybody is that self-aware about some of their own strengths and weaknesses. So we want to have every opportunity to probe in those areas and start to ask some of those questions so we really make sure we get the right hire. There's an aphorism that is hire slow, fire fast. Hiring slow, as much as you know you need to get that person in place, is a really crucial piece because you want to get the right person, because you don't want to have to go through this again, find out 6 months later you hired the wrong person, and then have to turn that all over again. It's exhausting and it sets you so much further back. So take the time up front to be deliberative and intentional about how you're hiring these folks. So then we get to the point, we've made the offer, we've made the hire. Now, how do we best position that new leader on your team for success? And there's a couple of things I want you to think about as you start planning for that. One is about your onboarding strategy. How are you going to bring them into the office? What are you going to do around materials you need for them? You don't want somebody to show up in the office and find out they don't have anywhere to sit or they don't have the things they need to do the job. So make sure you get those things on place early on. Make sure you have a integration process so that they meet with the people on the team, meet with the people they're going to be leading, meet with you. That new person, when they come in, as much as you've done a great job going through that interview process, is going to have a lot of questions about the how. So we want to go back to that one-page job description and say, okay, new hire, here's where I want to see you take this leadership role over the next 3 years. Here's why I think it's important to the company. Here are the things that I'm going to measure on year one to say, this is what success looks like. These are the things we're going to measure so we can both acknowledge we're on the right track. And we're going to review these monthly, by the way. Here's the how. Here's kind of the strategies. Here's how I want you to deal with people. Here's how I want you to deal with customers. Here's how we make decisions about how we spend money in the company. Get them up to speed on the way you want the business to be run, because now you're going to be leading through them by extension. So what you really want to do is help them have the skills and capabilities to make decisions in line with the way you want the business run. And then have the open and honest conversation to say, all right, what do you see that's missing here? What do we need to build? Is there a system? Is there a process we need to build? Is there something we need to go out and buy? What are the key priorities we have to build over the next year to get you fully prepared for the success of the business? And that's it. Once we get those things done, then the other piece is you're going to start delegating. And this is a hard part for a lot of leaders because this is your baby. This is the business you created. So now you're going to have to start to let go and really delegate strategically, delegate early on. And then you can increase how much you want to check in with them on those things. You can let them have more and more independence as you get more trusting and they get more knowledge. And that's how you can start to build that successful leadership team, to surround that team, surround yourself with that successful leadership team. And then you're going to repeat that as you add additional people on. Maybe your next hire is a salesperson. Maybe your next hire is a operations person. Whatever it is, you're going to want to go through those same processes to really think through what you want to do to get that hire. So that when you have your leadership team around you, you've got a good group of people who are not all like you, who are complementary of each other, who complement your strengths and weaknesses and help build towards a larger, more successful team for the business. That's ClearPath LeaderCast focus for today. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.